What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to Babu Speaks. I'm Babu, and today's topic, title, um, we're going to be talking about the people in our lives that we care about, and it's not everybody. You know, it's crazy because there's always that one, and sometimes it's more than one, depending on the bunch that you have. But I want I want to talk about this truck I had last year first. Just want to get it started. Um, I had a 2023 Texas edition Silverado. Bad, bad, right? Nice truck, company truck. But I mean, it was a pretty truck, blacked out tent, had lifts on it. Um, I hope was it Yokohama tires on the joint, like that joint was right. And at first it was driving just fine. And then it started doing this quirky little thing where it would just, like on elevations, if I went up um, any high elevation, it would struggle to retain power. Um, and it got worse and worse and worse because I had to make this trip repeatedly, week after week. And then eventually to the point where I felt like it was about to break down on me. Um, and then I eventually stopped making that trip. And then, there you go. So obviously it's a 2023, but it was a company truck. So I was kind of like in park mode and as far as work was concerned. So I didn't want to bother the boss about, you know, putting me in another truck. And plus, I liked the truck. It was one of the ones that weren't just plain white and then, like plain. It had a little style, matching my swag, what have you. So, like, I was like, I treated it like it was my own. So, uh, and because he didn't have a replacement to put me in anyway. So, instead of just junking it, I tried to assess the problem and fix it on my own. Um, it took a little while. Process of elimination. I changed the spark plugs first. Then I changed the coil packs, and it still was doing it. So now I'm like, I gotta dig a little deeper to find out. Look, this nice ass brand new truck is acting like this. Um, Long story short, eventually I found out what the problem was. Um, and then once I found that out, then I was like, hmm, how do I um, remedy this problem with the knowledge that I have now? So it turned out that it was the rocking or the rockers, rocker sensors. Uh, but rocker sensors, if you don't know what those are basically to tell the truck when it's like people go off roading and doing all this off roading and running up and down ditches and rivers and whatever you want to call it. Um, or if let's say your truck is not stable, but it basically lets the engine know, and then the engine um, compensates by reducing the power. But I wasn't off roading; I was just regular interstate driving, and so the truck still was not getting power. Um, there's two sensors on these Chevy trucks. No, I think it's the dumbest thing they ever fucking put on a truck. That's just my opinion. Because At the end of the day, this is the dumbest thing I've on a truck. It really serves no real purpose. I've seen a ton of YouTube videos where they literally teach you how to delete the knocking sensor, um, whether something's wrong with it or not. Um, so, because I'm not going inside the manifold engine itself, I actually changed the two sensors. I've been working on cars for 20 years, so like I know how to do a thing or two. Got those changed, and it did not fix the problem. Although it did fix like a problem, it wasn't. It still wasn't the main cause of the truck not having power. Um, but again, I grew fond of this truck. I was attached to the truck, so I'm trying to get it to where it's good to go, and I can keep going and trucking in it. Um, but once my little self research ran short and ran out, the things that I did or tried to do as a process of elimination ran out. Then I took it to the shop where, like my shop that I go to, and he basically told me that one of the cylinders, the one of the rockers, was stuck halfway, or there was some kind of malfunction, but and it seemed like it should have been like on a recall type thing, but eventually, the truck stopped running, couldn't drive no more. And you might be like, what's the point of that? The point is that sometimes, we have friendships, relationships, um, people we interact with, and we grow attached, we grow closeness, fondness, love them, people that we care about. And in the beginning, I would say most, unless you just, y'all just automatically had that fire from the jump, but most friendships start off cool. Everything's good. Everything's kosher. Everything is, you know, everything is everything. And then at some point, when certain circumstances, situations hit certain brain cells, um, where trauma might have or triggers start getting hit on a regular basis from one or from one of the parties, then trauma response tends to um, initiate um, either like a protective type, you know, response or reaction, and then the one that triggered it might not even know that they triggered a trauma response or hit a trigger. Um, there are some people in this world that move along with a sense of normalcy that triggers people that have disorders, that have trauma, that have certain mental offsets. And if they don't know that they're hitting that trigger, they tend to keep hitting the same trigger. And then the person that's triggered may not even know 100% that, oh, you're triggering my trauma. Like that's, some people know, but sometimes people don't know. People may have something and not even know they have it, unless they've been diagnosed and went to see a doctor, therapist, or something like that. Um, but like, what do you do when you the normal the one that does not have that disorder or disability? What do you do? Do you just discard and throw away that friendship, or do you um, have a little bit more understanding? Because at the end of the day, if you really care about somebody, you're gonna do all you can to care about them. That's an action word. Um, and to do that, you're gonna want to do some research. You want to look some stuff up. You want to look at the way that your friend is reacting or your partner is reacting. or the way they're carrying certain situations and why they don't handle it like the average person. Well, one, because they're not average, and two, again, like they might not even know because I would imagine that if someone knew that they were bipolar, whether it was depressive or manic or you know one of those, or if they were um, like what I mean, like narcissist. Not gonna tell you they're narcissist. It's not. But like there's many disorders, mental disorders that affect how we respond, how we move, how we talk, how we handle different situations. Um, and unless you've literally um, just picked up on it and like, hey, well, I'm gonna go to the doctor and get myself checked out, you're not gonna know. And then you're gonna go through life with a lot of battles that you probably could have won, or maybe not even had to fight if you just had been aware of what you may be dealing with. Um, but the one that is supposedly normal, or may not just have what you have, maybe they got something else. Who knows? Again, you don't want to just throw that friendship away. You're going to want to try to, you know, look deeper below the surface instead of just the reactions that you're getting from that person. You're going to start looking at like, well, why do they do this or why do they do that? Those are typically called symptoms, or why they get upset when I raise my voice, even if I'm not yelling, or if I defend myself. Why do they shy away? If I stand on business, why am I looked at a certain way? And I went through this with one of my kids, and I I took it to Google first, and then I researched the symptoms that I noticed, that I paid attention to, that I picked up on, and it literally gave me boom, 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 boom. So many symptoms. The picture should have been at the bottom. Like I was like, whoa. And again, I'm not a doctor, but and then the information is out there. If we actually where we go and we research it, find it, and apply it, you can learn a lot. You know. Um, but Google only goes so far. So got um, once I got to a point where I was like, I'm kind of convinced that this is what I'm dealing with. Then I took it to Google, meaning to YouTube, because YouTube is shopping for, is like the mall for everything research wise. And if you want a video on something, go to YouTube. It'll be there. um, and so I went to YouTube and I looked up this video um, on narcissism. And I was like, wow, it blew my mind. But again, um, I didn't just, because I was losing myself in the situation and I didn't know how to counter the reactions. But a lot of the things that I was triggering because that was the intended response from the one on the other side. But once I started to learn about the disorder, and once I started to apply the tools that they give the one that supposedly doesn't have it, things started to um, get better, started to subside. Certain trigger responses were not triggered because I knew what landmines not to step on. Um, yeah, I'm not perfect, and I don't do anything perfect, but you know that that could have preserved the relationship and myself and my own mental peace of mind because I had to look into it. Um, I have a lot of friends that say they're bipolar, and for the most part, they know what they're talking about. um, and I like to think of myself as a very passive, never aggressive, unless you push me to that. And then there are some that, you know, give me all the reason in the world to be aggressive, and I still don't, because I know that that's not going to solve the problem. So I literally try to learn my friends, learn the people in my life, um, and it just kind of puts you on edge, not edge, but like on alert, um, because when you're dealing with someone, and it's I mean, we're just casual acquaintances, and you know, there's really nothing, no depth there, nothing serious. I'm not really going to go over and beyond, except for just reading you like I normally would as an empath, and then dealing with you accordingly. But somebody that I don't want to lose, that I care about, friend, um, somebody that I consider family, I'm going to do what I can, um, to salvage, or to not have to be in a position to have to salvage our friendship or our relationship or whatever the case. And that's people as well as like, man, that I'm not changing, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing no special treatment. And then everybody's entitled to, um, their own course of action. But if I love someone, if I fuck with them heavy, I'm going to do, I'm going to do what I need to do and become what I need to become to keep that friendship. And at the end of the day, that is not, I mean, I don't see that as being weak. I think it's stronger for you to literally, um, do something to protect the one that can't protect himself. That is an act of love. And love conforms, love changes, love elevates, love, um, it, it becomes a safe place for that person. Um, and if, like, for instance, if you were dealing with an avoidance, you would want to, you know all you can about that, because at the end of the day, that is, you know, that's a hard thing to deal with, but it can be done. And if you love a person, you know, you do what you got to do to be there for them. Um, and the same as if you had, you know, something that you were dealing with, you want somebody to not just give up on you, or just, you know, discount you because, you know, you're not normal. That's what they did back in the first centuries. And, you know, baby come out with, you know, two colored eyes, they probably sacrifice his little ass or something. Or if you came out one arm shorter than the other, you were looked at as um, you were looked down upon. It was nothing positive for a baby to be born and not have all his extremities intact and normal. They were ostracized and cast out. If not physically, definitely mentally. People look at you like that, and people look at people like that today too. But that's not the same as back in those days. Nobody's really going to stick, you know, baby that came out born with one arm and discard him in the trash or kill him or send him out the village. But it is something that, you know, just prejudice that probably will never go away completely. Um, but mental disorder, people can look perfectly fine and not have anything physically wrong with them, but not be able to function in society like everyone else, or like the norm. Um, but at the end of the day, they're still humans. They still deserve love. They're still special people, and they, they still can be just as valuable and important as anyone else. Um, and so, one of the most loving acts of kindness that you can do is to learn, so that you can be supportive, so that you can be caring, so that you can be a source of strength for those that otherwise may not have that strength. Um, And I've been doing some research on avoidance dismissive personality disorder, and that is a tough battle. um, as a person can literally be the baddest of the baddest and still not believe it themselves, and they avoid um, contact with people because they don't want the rejection. Um, but what we have to do for people who are able to express our emotions and who are able to regulate our emotions, we have to work harder to reassure them that they are enough, that they are special, and that they are um, valued. And the mind works the way the mind works. Everybody's mind don't work the same. Avoidance don't work like narcissists. Narcissists don't work like bipolar. Bipolar don't work like, the list goes on. Um, but we don't have to make their journey harder by being prejudiced against them because they're not like us. We don't have to be Kendrick Lamar in that sense. They're not like us. Anyway, but if you love someone, you will do what you have to do to let them know and show them, even if they can't process it at the speed of life, you still have to love them anyway. And sometimes, like, you're dealing with narcissists, you just gotta love them from a distance. It is what it is. um, but I always look at below the surface. Like, I have a best friend that just haven't talked to me in fucking almost over a week now. Like, and it's just retarded. Like, I don't understand. But they're dealing with their own thing, going through this and going through that. And instead of being like, well, fuck you and you ain't shit. And, I'm like, I think just going through it. I'll be here when they resurface. And a lot of people don't have that patience or that tolerance, but I do. And I kind of built like that. But um, but it's sad to see because especially someone you help through like a lot of their most recent traumas and problems, and then for them to not even like speak to you, like that's just kind of that's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. But at the end of the day, with understanding, we can act accordingly, and then act with caution when the person does resurface. You know, um, I've had a lot of friendships where you didn't have nothing wrong between us per se, but things that going on in their life made them act and move a certain way, and then they, they disappeared and they come back, and then I pick up right where we left off because at the end of the day, like yeah, there's your journey. Maybe I'm just a pit stop every so often, a pace car on the track. That's always there, and but it does get hard to deal with that and hard to accept that. But at the end of the day, how else gonna do it? Like, I don't know. You'll be cutting motherfuckers off for less. And they ain't worried about if you got a disorder, if you got a disability, if you got anything going on, they don't give a fuck. They don't care. Um, but the world needs more proactive love and action in it. And so many people are like relationships don't last because people are not trying to figure out their partner. They're not trying to learn their partner. It's like, oh, they just want instant grits. They just want fucking instant oatmeal. Like just add water and teaspoon of sugar and boom, let's go. But like when you actually have to cook them oats and you actually have to measure that out and then you actually have to measure the butter and everything. You don't want to, some people just don't want to do that. That's why you see the frozen food aisle get growing and the aisle that you have to put things together usually stays full. People are not trying to cook from scratch and they're not trying to make masterpieces. They just want something that is of ease of access, that is stress free. There's less work. but I'll benefit. Like, how do you get benefit from something that you didn't put no work into? Like, I have, people in my life that I work very hard to try to be the best friend that I can be to them. And when it's all said and done, once the smoke clears and it's over with, and if it is ever is over with, I know I did everything I could to try to hold it together and try to keep it going. So like, it ain't many like me out there, and that's not a good thing because we need more people to be more tolerant, more patient, more understanding. Let's crash out. Let's jump to conclusions and more, you know, trying to hold things together. You look at the family situation nowadays. That shit don't. It's not like it used to be back in the day. I have my read, but for mine, but at the end of the day, like, I'm talking about like husband, wives, and kids. They just sit on them like, oh, well, we're getting a divorce. All right, Dad, appreciate you letting us know. Your friend Bobby down the street, Dad just dipped, never came back. We got some milk. That was it. But like, a family that, I really commend and appreciate the example that couples who stay together. Um, and at the end of the day, like, everybody's not saying, I don't know if I could do it, um, but the ones that do stay together for the sake of the children and the aesthetics of that look for the kids to see that the tight knit family, it helps. It helps those kids to like fight stronger and have better unions that they will take on as they get older and go out into adulthood and start relationships. They won't be so quick to quit. Even if they do, divorce or something at some point, they won't be so quick to jump into a divorce. They'll really try to do everything they can first to um, maintain and hold on to that relationship and that family. Um, I I think that it's always a hard subject talking about stuff like this, but it's something that I feel like everybody should talk about and everybody should at least consider and look into because you may be dealing with someone and don't even know what you're dealing with. So you probably want to just, take a pause, take a beat. Sometimes when you find out what it is, it can give you a little relief. Like, oh man, that makes sense. Okay, because they was acting like this, 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 this. You know what? YouTube, boom, boom, find the video that is the most credible and watch it. And you're like, wow, that's what I've been dealing with the whole time. Okay. Give me tools and steps that I can follow to like keep the drama down, keep the stress down, you know what I'm saying? Like then you're more in a more positive, proactive mode instead of ready to crash out on somebody that might can't even help what they're doing. Because they don't know they're doing it. They may have an idea, but they're not about to sit down and study this and some may, some will, but a lot of them won't. They're in there and in these constant storms and they don't even know why. And you could be the one who cared enough, showed enough compassion, went out and did some research on your own, came back, tested out a couple of the tools, and then literally was like, all right. And then you can sit that person down and you're like, you know what? You may be bipolar. You may be avoidance dismissive personality. You may be, schizo. I don't know. But at the end of the day, and they may not receive it the best way from you, but at least you you planted that seed, and then or maybe they might be like, you know what is that? What personality traits come with that? Let me look into that. Oh my god! And then if they see a mirror when they look it up, and then they like, goodness, okay, maybe let me do a little bit more digging. Let me talk to a therapist. Let me talk to a doctor. And if they start to do things to combat it and start using the tools themselves that are designed for them, and you help someone, one, bring light to a situation. Two, they were humble enough to literally start caring enough to actually work on it and then get better and then no longer have it. Man, the difference a day of caring makes. Because you were not scared enough and not, I don't know, afraid enough to just to like to pull your friend's card and look, sit down and talk. I love you, I care about you. And it's always gotta be in a loving way. It's gotta be in a caring way. You can't be a dick or an asshole like you're fucking bipolar, you crazy shit. This is what you gotta do. That ain't gonna get you nowhere but fucking cuss out and blocks. Probably. Imagine it. But if you do it in a loving and caring way, a loving and caring way, not only can you preserve that friend, but you've elevated them to and then you elevated them to a knowledgeable position, and you could help them. And then that's the only thing I ever want to do on this earth is help people. That's why I have this podcast. That's why I talk to y'all. Even when I'm nervous right now. Like I just, it is what it is. I don't have a co-star. I don't have a guest. It's just me. And at the end of the day, I'm saying real shit, but it may not be as entertaining as normal. So apologize for that, but it's still good message nonetheless, and hopefully something that y'all can get from it and get out of it. And it is things that I'm dealing with currently, and I don't have a lot of people that I talk to that ain't like weird, backbiting, poisonous, just some, you know, stupid shit. So I have to talk to y'all instead. But I always appreciate y'all being here. At the end of the day, the show must go on. I'm always keep the show coming, regardless. I'm gonna try to get, not try to have more people coming down the pipeline so that we can get things. We can keep things popping because Bad Blues won't keep speaking. We're not going nowhere. I'm always be here for my people. I'm almost at 100 subscribers. I know some of y'all probably got 4, 5, 600, whatever. At the end of the day, you got call before you walk. This is my call, and it is, it's I mean, I'm proud of this little show that I built on my own, and then the people that I brought in this year, and then other friends that I've had as guests that contribute and that believed in supporting their friend and what I'm doing, and I appreciate those that watch regularly, that have subscribed, and that have made this one of their rotations. So I appreciate that, and it's only gonna get better. I'm only gonna get better. I can't do something and not elevate while I'm doing it, especially something that I'm passionate about and that I believe in. So that's definitely much appreciated to all y'all that do support and that do tell other people about it, and then other people come in and join, and they join. Tell your enemies too. I want everybody to watch me. We might say something that might fucking trigger them and fix them, and not fix them, but they might not be enemies anymore. They might not be this or do that. But that's probably a little too hopeful. But at the end of the day, no. Tell somebody, tell a friend, tell another friend. Tell everybody subscribe. Let's get this thing up. Let's get this thing going. Let's get this thing popping. It is Saturday night, so I'm not about to be on here all night talking crazy. I'm about to get lit. Turn up. That's what we do. But I appreciate y'all. And at the end of the day, don't forget to like, comment something. Give me your opinion. Give me a suggestion. Say I did a good job. Thumbs up. I don't care. Just say something. Subscribe and share. I do one of them. I do all of them. But just hit the like button. If I could see more likes, that would really make me feel good. So let's try that for starters for some of y'all. Um, anyway, definitely We're gonna have more shows coming. Probably gonna have another show tomorrow, maybe in the morning. Who knows? But we definitely be lit up for the weekend. All y'all be safe. I do nothing crazy. And until next time, stay. What happened? Alrighty then, my music don't want to play. Although okay. Say it. I don't know. Okay. Technical difficulties. Till next time. Peace.